Hello students, good day to you. I'm Dr. Gaurav Agnihotri and today I'm going to take a class on cerebellar lesions. So this is cerebellum part 2. So now I share my screen with you. So cerebellar lesions. So on the basis of evolution, we divide the cerebellum into archicerebellum, neocerebellum, and paleocerebellum. So archicerebellum is the oldest part on the basis of evolution of the cerebellum. And in fact, fishes and amphibians only have this component. Archicerebellum comprises of two things, flocculonodular lobe and lingula, and archicerebellum maintains our equilibrium. Damage to archicerebellum leads to truncal ataxia. Now, what is truncal ataxia? It is loss of control of body movements. So here the patient is unsteady while standing, and while walking, he or she walks with legs wide apart and sways, and there is swaying from side to side. So there is a staggered walk, and it appears that the person is drunk. Okay, let me see you walk a little bit. So see this video, the person is walking with legs wide apart, and see the unsteady posture. It appears that the person is drunk. So this type of gait is ataxic gait. Now, whether this ataxic gait is due to posterior column lesion or cerebellar lesion, for that we do the Romberg's test. Romberg's test is the test for the posterior column. So students, in this test, the person is asked to stand straight, and then the person is asked to close the eyes. So when the person closes the eyes, if the person falls forwards or backwards, that indicates that the person is unstable and the problem is with the posterior column. However, if the Romberg's test is negative, then in that case, the ataxia is attributable to the cerebellar lesion. So Romberg's test negative with ataxic gait and posture, it indicates that there is damage to the archicerebellum. Damage to archicerebellum also leads to nystagmus. What is nystagmus? Involuntary rhythmic oscillatory movement of eyeballs. So you can appreciate the nystagmus in this video. Involuntary rhythmic oscillatory movement of the eyeballs. So paleocerebellum, this is the feature of birds and reptiles, and the components of paleocerebellum are anterior lobe except lingula. Also uvula and pyramid of inferior vermis are a part of paleocerebellum. Paleocerebellum maintains the muscle tone. Damage to paleocerebellum manifests as lack of stability of joints, what is referred to as flail joints, and disturbances of tendon reflexes. So tapping the patellar tendon here causes the leg to swing backwards and forwards like a pendulum, what is referred to as a pendular knee jerk. Now see this video.
Cerebellar lesions are characterized by marked hypotonia. In the following video, we are trying to simulate a patient with left cerebellar lesion. Note the pendulum-like oscillations of the left leg while eliciting this knee jerk.
So you can see here the movement like the pendulum. So here the damage is to the paleocerebellum. So neocerebellum evolutionarily is the most developed or recent part of the cerebellum. It is prominent in higher mammals and it comprises of the posterior lobe except the uvula and pyramid. It is responsible for coordination. Coordination is when different body parts, they work as a whole for a movement. So damage to neurocerebellum leads to muscular incoordination, what is called asynergia. This manifests as dysmetria. Dysmetria is inability to measure distance correctly. For this, a finger nose test is done. Patient is asked to touch tip of finger with tip of nose. So if the patient is not able to judge the distance correctly, patient may overshoot or may undershoot. That is not reach the target. So this is called fast pointing. So dysmetria. So other than dysmetria is intention tremor. Intention tremor is when you want to do a particular function, then there are action, then there are tremors. For example, if I keep my hand like this, if it keeps on trembling, this is resting tremor, a feature of Parkinsonism. But if the hand is not trembling when I hold it like this, and when I do an action, like when I bring my hand close to the computer, then there is trembling, then this type of tremor is called intention tremor. Intention tremor is tremor during an action. So damage to neocerebellum manifests as fast ponting. That is, if you ask the person to touch the nose, person will not reach the nose. He will either overshoot or he will undershoot. That is dysmetria. Another way to measure dysmetria is to ask the person to put the pen in the pen cap. So person will not be able to judge the distance properly and will overshoot or undershoot, not reach the pen cap. Then I have already told you intention tremor. While performing any action like raising the arm, there are tremors. This tremors during action are referred to as intention tremor. Another feature is dysdiadochokinesia or adiadochokinesia. That is the inability to execute alternate movements like supination and pronation in rapid succession. So what happens is normal person can do this, but a person with dysdiadochokinesia there will be incoordination. He or she will not be able to do pronation, supination in a coordinated manner. So one forearm will be pronated, other will be supinated or in between. So that coordination will not be possible in case of dysdiadochokinesia, damage to neocerebellum. When you put a bulb in a holder, that also requires alternate movements like this. So that person will not be able to do these simple movements. Dysarthria is scanning speech. Here, the speech is slurred, that is indistinct, prolonged, elongated, explosive, and pauses are there in wrong places. So listen to this.
How old are you? 3-year-old. 12-year-old. You are in hospital?
Yeah.
Which school do you study? How old are you? 3-year-old.
So the speech is indistinct here. Another feature of damage to neocerebellum is rebound phenomena. That is inability to check action of agonist muscle by the corresponding antagonist muscle. So you see here how the rebound phenomena is tested. The patient is asked to stretch the hands like this. Doctor applies force from above. Patient is asked to move against the force. Suddenly, doctor removes the hand. Then normally what happens is the forearm goes upwards, but then the patient is able to adjust. But in case the antagonist muscles don't work properly, what will happen is when the doctor removes the resistance, the forearm goes up like this, and this is called positive rebound phenomena. So if the antagonist muscles are not working properly and the forearm moves up like this when the resistance is removed, this is called positive rebound phenomena and is a feature of damage to neocerebellum. So all the features which we have discussed today, they come under the cerebellar syndrome. Now you see this cartoon, it's an inductive tone. This person is saying my speech is slurred, I am clumsy, I may fall over, but I am not drunk. Definitely the intelligent student feels this person is having cerebellar ataxia. So till the next time we meet, thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's class. It was a short class, but an important class in which we did how the different lesions of the cerebellum are tested. I thank you for providing me your time, and till the next time we meet, thank you. Bye-bye.